Hey, this is Jerome Boger, NFL referee, crew chief. Spending some time with Takeo and Tutan on Behind the Mask. And we're going to talk some exciting times about refereeing the Super Bowl, some on-the-field moments. There might be some bloopers, and just what it feels like to be a Black official in the National Football League. Stay tuned.
Thank you for joining us on another edition of the Behind the Mask podcast. It's your favorite plus-size model, Tutan Reyes, in the building. This week, Takeo, Spikes, and I, we have NFL lead referee Jerome Boger to join us on the podcast. He's going to talk some amazing things about his life as an NFL referee. Make sure you guys subscribe to the Behind the Mask podcast. Follow us on social media. Click the like button. Make sure you click the bell for notifications so you can see all the upcoming episodes, and leave some comments too so we can go back and forth with this engagement. Remember, on the Behind the Mask podcast, there's only one rule. There are no rules.
Let's go behind the mask.
Welcome back to a special edition of the Behind the Mask podcast. I am your host, Takeo Spikes. And what makes this edition so special? Yes, but no, it's not the plus size model who I'm about to bring in right now. Where you at?
What's good, man? That's your favorite plus size model. Tutan Reyes in the building. Spikes, you looking real islandish right now, brother. I'm loving it.
Well, you know, I give credit to the filter in the background. You know, all about the backdrop.
No doubt.
No, but listen, man, this is how we gonna make this edition special. It's Black History Month.
That's right.
And we are looking for history, and I think we finally found it today. Our next guest coming to the stage on the platform of the BTM. Man, I want everybody to give it up to the man who led the first all-black crew, officiating crew in the NFL. Y'all give it up for Jerome Boger.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Oh, yeah, man. Feel like I need to come through a tunnel or something. Need some steam coming up.
Well, come on through it. Well, come out behind the mask then. That's what we need.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, Jerome, we appreciate you taking time joining us today. And when we look back, you know, so many years, I played the game, Tutan played the game, and you officiated all of our games from time to time. But you started back in 2004. Yep. And what made you want to get into officiating? And I know you had a sporting background, but what made you want to get closer to the game from that perspective?
Well, I just enjoyed having my own uniform, and I enjoyed being around sports and being a part of something bigger than, you know, I enjoyed the team aspect. And when I was in college, I was taking a course. Believe it or not, my offensive coordinator taught a course in sports and officiating. And he just emphasized the importance of being a part of something bigger than yourself and making sure that the game was played fairly. So after I left college, you know, after my playing days were over, you know, I looked back at the local high school association and decided to join one so I can continue and be a part of something big.
That's amazing, man. And Takeo touched on your immaculate history in the NFL as well, starting off in 2004 as a line judge.
Yep.
Now, somebody, hold on, Mr. Boger. Somebody over here played offensive line now.
Okay.
And here's a little bit of history. Your first game in 2004 was a Monday Night Football game, correct?
Yeah, it was. Yep.
Yeah, and you were officiating the Carolina Panthers, my former team, versus the Green Bay Packers. So guess who was on the offensive line during that game?
Oh, man. Now, you're going way back. I just found the old DVD the other day that I had saved for that game and was just reminiscing. Monday night, you know, that was a big game. I was excited to, like, I don't know what. You know, it was a big call in that game that I made as a line judge, and it was a big moment, a very memorable moment for me. And now to reminisce it, that's great.
I want to know, did that memorable moment come in with calling? How many times you get two for holding that game? He always held. He held all the time.
Well, you know, I just tried to do my job the best that I could. And if it worked out, you know, it just works out. I didn't know I never went out there looking for a foul, but you just tried to, if you saw it, you know, get down on it, you know.
Well, see, now we were 15, 16, whatever years later, man. Now I finally got you back on the Behind the Mask podcast, so we going to talk about it a little bit.
Oh, man, that's great. That's great. I appreciate that. I got some story about Takeo, too, from that same year, That first year, also as a line of scrimmage, Takeo knows my son. And so Trey had said, well, Dad, if you get a chance, go on to holler at Takeo. I didn't know, but first year, teams don't really want you going into their locker room, right? So we were up there at Buffalo, and I say, what the hell? I just going in this locker room, just holler at him, come on back out. And man, when I went in there and they knew I was an outsider, everybody was kind of looking at me like, who is this dude coming in here? I put Takeo in a bad spot to say, well, I know the guy, he ain't that bad, something like that. But I just learned from a big right then, don't really go in the team's locker room. That's that sacred ground. Let them have it. If I was going to holler at him, I'd catch him on the sideline or somewhere, But that was just a memorable moment as well.
Yeah, so I told him after you left, they was like, why he coming in here?
Uh-huh.
Fellas, we are good. We're good. We do nothing.
Okay, well, I'm glad it worked out positive because I was kind of nervous after that one. I said, man, I can't believe I may have messed up coming in here,
No, it's good because it led to you becoming only the third Black referee in the NFL history.
Right.
So, like, when you talk about that, or even when you think about that, what does that legacy means to you to know you're coming in as the third one?
Well, it is exciting, and to let me know that I'm carrying on the lineage of, first of all, just showing that Blacks can do it. Okay, if you give us the opportunity, we're not going to screw things up. Everything's going to be just like it normally looks, except it's going to be a Black face out there carrying it out. So I was just glad to be a part of that because, I don't say it's pressure, but you say, well, Doc, I don't want to be the one to mess this stuff up, that they say, hey, we made a bad decision in bringing this guy in here, So I was just glad that it's all worked out these years and looking forward to a couple of more before I call it a day.
And you were also the only Black referee at the time to referee a Super Bowl, correct?
Well, really, I was the second one. Mike Carey had worked one maybe a couple of years before me. He was the second Black referee. He lives out in California, I think, but he worked the first game as a referee, and then I was the second as a referee.
So what was that experience like? I was blessed to make it to a Super Bowl. Again, with the Panthers, we didn't win, but what was that experience like for you?
Well, it's exciting times, and for you as a player, the excitement that goes with working that championship game. So it trickles down to the officials the same way because, that's the only game on that particular day. Everybody's watching. So you want to show that you're able to handle the position and see you can perform at a very high level and be unbiased,
Last season, you guys made history again, especially you, becoming the lead of the first all-Black officiating crew. And I think that was a preview, which we did not know at that time, of the NFC Championship game when Green Bay went to Tampa. And I remember watching that game vividly, but it was a proud moment for me. But it's all about you. So, take us through the emotions and the experience of that night, leading the guys on to the field to officiate that game.
Oh, man, it's like it was the high point of my career.
It will be an all-Black crew for the first time in NFL history. Jerome Boger will take the lead, and he'll be joined by umpire Barry Anderson, side judge Anthony Jeffries, line judge Carl Johnson, down judge Julian Mapp, field judge Dale Shaw, and back judge Greg Steed.
Takeo, it's just something about being out there with other officials who have come through the same struggles that you have coming up, and to finally be there together. And a lot of those guys I had refereed before with in college. So going up to the game, we could reminisce about some of the things that we had done in college to put everybody relaxed, that we were working together. And then to just go out there and the level of the game is going to be good. But the biggest thing is that you want them talking about the game, even though it's a monumental moment, but talking about it positively for the historic aspect of it. But you don't want to be brought in and say, well, man, the officials blew this, the officials blew that. You don't want to be having the negativity shine on it in that light. So it was just great, man. It was exciting. It's one that'll last for a lifetime. have a lot of paraphernalia from the game. I had the guys sign, to make it memorable for me. And I was glad when it was over because, the camera's always on you and it feels like it's always on the referee. The camera kind of follows you. So you got to try and stay calm out there and not get too excited and things like that. So I'm just glad that it worked out well, then it played well. And that's the first thing you want to see, that the game played well and you are uninvolved in the outcome. And that's gratification enough right there.
Yeah, and you talking about that, you always have the spotlight on you, right? Not only the tens of thousands of fans that are in the stands, but millions of people at home each week watching you, hearing you.
Sure.
And do you ever sit back, one, and get nervous and then reflect on all that you've accomplished in your years in the NFL?
Well, yeah, I sit back and reflect a good bit. And before the game, you still get nervous, and if anybody says they don't, there's just a little nervousness before you go out there, even for the coin toss, well, please don't let me stumble running out here on the sideline to the middle of the field. And I always tease with the guys and say, all right, guys, the first penalty, throw me something soft. Don't throw me no complicated mess the first time. I don't need that. Throw me a softball that I can handle it, dispatch it, and get into the flow. Okay, when they come with that real hard stuff early, you be like, oh, man, what in the world? So
I know about the certain calls, and I know about how that pressure can be because at that moment, everybody stops and looks at you guys. But do you ever recall a time to where you felt pressured to call or not to even make a play call that could determine the game?
Not too much, Takeo, because I say we try to get out of that pressure zone by saying we know every game we're going to be reviewed, and they're going to look at it play by play, slow-mo, backwards, forward, put it on the wheel, run it back, and all that kind of stuff. So the pressure is on. Hey, I just got to stay focused. I got to concentrate for 3 hours or for 60 minutes of regulation time, and honestly, call what I see. If you don't see it, hey, just let it go, and we'll worry about it later on. But that's the biggest part of as far as worrying about getting the play. You don't want to be the one to miss the play that causes somebody a hardship. And then realistically, hey, I'm not gonna get them all the time. But you go out there every week, every moment, just trying to stay focused on these items that I'm supposed to look at, and you hope the other 6 or 7 guys are doing the same thing, and it all fits together. Because when they come to with a lot of stuff, I don't know in the world. I'm taking them at their word that it went down like they say it did. And sometimes you may try and peep up while they're talking. You try and peep up, see if they're showing a replay on it, so you can have some comfort for yourself. That's okay. Because sometimes they may be out there kind of sheepish with something. Well, I think that's if you don't know, let's step back and we're just gonna let it stay as we call it. Okay. I need you to build confidence and sell me that you got what you got. Otherwise, we're gonna pass on it and we'll find out after the game what we did.
And I know that in itself is tough because for players, the worst feeling is watching film the next day, right? You already remember what happened during the game.
Sure.
When you messed up or you went, something went wrong. But the next day when the team meet and you have to watch it again, and now all your peers, your teammates are watching the play that you messed up, right? Or missed a block, missed a tackle, a wide open touchdown, something like that. But what is it like for the officials when you actually got to sit down there and watch that film? It might be something controversial that's been on, a Sports Center or something like that all night. What is that feeling like the next day when you have to watch that film again?
Oh, it's that same feeling of disappointment and that you just didn't do what you were challenged to do. You just try to understand why you missed it or why you thought you saw what you saw and how you can do to prevent that from happening again, to put another team in that misfortune. And you kind of, it even happens in the game live, okay? There's a controversial play per se, and there's a moment where you're running it back through your head as to what you saw and trying to slow it down so you can see all the action. And then sometimes it takes some guys are hard to go to the next play. They're still on that play. Dog, I missed that hole. The guy broke for about 10 or 15 yards and really should be stopped right here. And then you got all the flack from the sideline. You got flack from the players. So a hard part sometimes is just going past it, before you get to the next day. and then immediately a lot of time on our note card, I always look at the clock, okay, 1:15 the first quarter, I'm going to come back and there's something I want to look at around, and I'll just look at the entire play around that time stamp and see what I think, I was trying to remember so I can just learn from it,
Is that what y'all, when y'all pull y'all pads out, that's what y'all write down on the pad?
Yeah, it's a note card. I'll tell you put down the time like 1:15 OH. And that's to know it's a question, because if you threw it or not. And you just want to go and look if you were good in your decision making to pass on it. Or, the next time, hey, if I see that, that's what I want to get. Because we are visual and we look at a lot of videotape. And I would tell people, we look at tape of teams just like the players. And in your brain, you have a tape on one side running the tape that you saw. And then during the game, on the other side, a wheel is running the live action. You try to see when something matches up. Okay, get that. Pass on this. So you're constantly concentrating on what you've seen that is a tendency for this team to do. And then you try to run it against the live action to see, does it come to fruition? Like we have ideas who likes to blow to the play to the echo of the whistle, and you try to talk to them before the game, to let them know, hey, okay, I know you're aggressive, but we want to try and, play within the, lighten up a little bit today. Just, I'm with you,
Yeah.
That's what I used to do to Takeo, to the whistle. I'm over the pile.
He was that type of, he was like one of those Georgia Gnats. You just swat the shit out of whenever you get a team.
Oh, yeah. And every team wants a guy like that on the team,
Yep.
When we talk to opposing coaches, because they always tell you about what somebody else is do. And to your surprise, sometimes I had a coach this year say, he wasn't complaining about the guy. And he said, to be truthful, Jerome, he's the kind of guy you want on your team. I just don't want him to hurt my guy. So that's why I'm bringing it up, to us. And that kind of took me back, that recognized game, and you recognize that type player that brings a lot of that stuff that you need them to bring to be successful. You can teach them how to do it, but they got to have it in this inside that want to bring it. That's always good to see that out there.
What was your most memorable game in the NFL?
This one, because it's most recent, it's high on the list. But I guess that's Super Bowl. The Super Bowl. I worked Super Bowl 47 between Baltimore and San Francisco. And what makes it memorable, the lights went out. So that's why I can all the Super Bowls run together. But this is the one where Beyonce turned the lights out at halftime. So I can always come back to it.
It stopped on 13:22 for like 5 seconds, and then all of a sudden everything went out.
It was 13:22.
20-minute delay.
20 minutes?
We're now ready to resume action. Let's go.
We'll now resume the Super Bowl.
But that was exciting times to be able to finally make the championship game and to have a good performance and have them. They're not talking about the officiating. They're talking about the lights went out. They're talking about Baltimore had a great first half, and San Francisco made a charge at them at the end and just fell short, as opposed to talking about, man, those officials blew every call that was out there. They blew it. So that makes it memorable for me in a positive light.
Well, we talk about big time memories and things that are memorable. So on the Behind the Mask podcast, I want to remind you there's only one rule, and that one rule is there are no rules. Okay. So I got to ask, we remember, and you brought up the Baltimore game, but this Baltimore game, we remember when you were running around trying to get out of the way from Lamar Jackson, and they were playing against the Bengals, and you got caught in the crossfire. What was going through your mind while you was trying to move out of the way and you saw the Bengals trying to run down Lamar Jackson, and ultimately, like, you were on a highlight tape.
Yeah. Runs by him and then makes another defender miss, and then here's the official gets in the way, trying to get out of the way. It's Jerome Boger.
Shook a tackle by Jerome.
But y'all got ears and eyes everywhere, okay? I got that one back there, but I was just glad I didn't trip him, okay? That I did ultimately some kind of way get out the way, and he was able to maneuver around, and I'm not on there for making a tackle as well as, going to the turf. But, Lamar Jackson, we kind of get set as far as the yardage, our positioning, where we can position our quarterbacks. And, you're kind of good. 14 yards deep, outside the tight end is a good spot. And you adjust from what the player does. And Lamar, first of all, he started to go up the middle. So I kind of stopped and watched him. And then he spins backwards and goes to his right. So a lot of times when they get outside the pocket, I try to send them ESP message on the quarterback. They throw it away, get rid of it, dump it. Okay, because I know nothing good's happening when they're coming at these quarterbacks. And this guy stops and pivots and reverses and comes back toward me. And I was kind of, just for a moment, lost. And if I go to my left, I'm going to go up to the traffic where all these other players coming. Maybe I can outrun them going to the right. And I tried a couple of steps, but the guy's so quick, he was on me. So quick. The only thing I could do was get my shoulder across and try to just dive out of his way. That's all I could do. And then Baltimore coach wanted, after I rolled over, they were looking at Thomas. He took a late hit. I said, hey, he did. I ain't see it. I missed it. There's no way I can see that going off. But it taught me. So I had them later on in the wild card game. I told Lamar before, hey, man, you won't see me all day, but I'm behind you, okay? You probably won't see you, but I'm behind you back here. I just learned my lesson to give him an extra couple of 2 or 3 more yards and just give him all the room he needs. He'd almost caught me early in the season in Miami like that. He just keeps running and running and running, and it just catches you off guard because not too many quarterbacks do that.
Not too many players can do it. Talking about quarterback.
And I was like, well, what is he doing? He's coming back. He's always trying to make a play. And I trying to teach, hey, you can't make a play every time. Sometimes just throw it away and move on to the next play. Don't try to make a play on this one. Give it up. And when we're all good, but he wants to not waste an opportunity and, stress that field, tell those guys to keep running and hit somebody downfield or either take off himself,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but that was a memorable moment, to say the least. I remember that moment.
No doubt. And you've had several memorable moments in your historic career. When you look back at that career, what, if anything, would you have done differently?
Anything I have done differently? Maybe apply to the NFL earlier, sooner, than I did. Because I started officiating, man, a long time back in 78. And my wife kind of is what got me to apply to the NFL. We sitting on, I progressed. I started with youth football and progressed to high school, then on to college. And I was doing small college in the SIAC. And we were watching the game. I'm watching the NFL game. Back then, Johnny Greer, whose number I wear, was refereeing the game. And we're just sitting there, and, she just looked at me and said, Jerome, you can do this, can't you? So what your wife asked you, can you do something? What you gonna say? Nah, I can't do it. I said, yeah, I can do that. So she said, well, you ought to look into it. So I said, oh man, here we go. So, honeydew idol was another thing to do. So I researched it and found some information and got the address. And I sent a letter to the NFL telling them I was interested in becoming an official and everything. And what did I need to do to make my goal? And, crickets. I ain't hear nothing. Nothing back from them. So finally, maybe the end of the season, they wrote me and said, well, hey, we want to take a look at you next year. Send us your schedule and we'll begin to start watching you. They send people out to scout the officials just like they do the players, to see how you manage the game, your penalty selection, just how you carry yourself on that particular stage. So that started the process. I just wish, I started this because I enjoyed being around the sport. I've been around football ever since maybe 3rd, 4th grade. And I enjoyed it, and I just wanted a way to stay close to it. I had time free on the weekends. So I said, well, why don't you give back and start officiating? And you see like you're pretty good at it, but still you don't think of it's something that I'm going to progress on. I just didn't think about it. And it might have been because you didn't see that many black officials doing it too. So you don't know it's out there for you to do. And that's why I try to stress now to people, to the guy, hey, they just need to see us out here and they need to see us performing and carrying ourselves as true professionals and showing that they can do this too. So that was the biggest thing. I wish I may have written to them earlier and started my career earlier, and trying to get to the NFL.
Yeah, and you talked about it. You say you really didn't think about it because oftentimes we feel like we can't be what we don't see. And now that you're in that position, my question to you is, what advice would you give young children who look like us in particular, who want to pursue a career in officiating?
Well, that the sky truly is the limit, that you can be anything you want to be in sports, and it can go beyond being the actual participant as far as the player. There's several fields in football available to you, and if it's not officiating, it could be coaching. We're getting more opportunity, and the push is on for football management. They just have to think creatively. That there's an opportunity for them in sports. A lot of times, guys, girls too think, well, if I don't play, I can't do anything else. There's several officials who have never played. They enjoy sports, but they never really played. I don't say there's a lot of them in the NFL, but I know there are a couple guys. They've been around football all life, but they never really played. But they are students of the game. They know the rules, and we have a good training program in that you're put out there in a situation where you can learn. I don't say it's on the job. It's on the job training for a good bit, but they're going to have you ready before they put you out there. But the progression from youth football on, to high school, to college, to professional, the game is the same. It's just played at a more proficient level, and players make plays, more than you may have seen starting out. But the opportunity for being close to something that you can have an impact on and make a difference and get enjoyment. I guess I'm a athletic type person. I enjoy, being outside. I enjoy being close to athletes, and the talk, the locker room, that's enjoyable to me. And it's always a good feeling and a good take that I take whenever I leave a game or leave somewhere athletically. If I go to a basketball game, I feel good because I see some athletes performing at a high level, and the plays that they make are unbelievable. So I feel like they need to just understand they can do it. Yep. And hopefully in the future they'll feel better about that, because now the video games get them. They want to do it through the video game, but they can do it by being an active participant as well.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't mention this again. It is Black History Month, and you, Mr. Jerome Boger, you are Black History now. So we are very thankful for you to be a part of history, and especially giving us the opportunity to really sit down with you so you can tell your story on the Behind the Mask podcast. So we really appreciate that, and thank you for the time.
Takeo and Tutan, thank you so much for reaching out to me. I'm glad that I was able to be a part of this broadcast, and this makes this a memorable moment in Black history as well.
Right on, my brother. Right on.
Thank you.